Let's dive, like LaFell mentioned, into the land of dawn we go. Game number 2 between Burn X Flash and Echo.
All right, to kick things off, right, as LaFell mentioned before, I totally agree with him. The fact that Burn X Flash now have an insurance policy. If things go wrong, they don't just have to imagine the Diggy protecting himself, but also with the deadly catch. And, oh, Carl Teasy, what a flex here. Look at that. The Bren M2 World Championship skin?
Spicy, 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 flexing a little bit here. I think maybe his ego got hurt a little bit, you know, from the interview beforehand.
I mean, that's probably one of the cases, but I can't help but feel that, you know, even for Carl Teasy, maybe he shouldn't have ego checked against Onyx that many times. However, I am very curious about this, you know, bottom side of the map, right? When we're looking at the EXP Paquito into this Fredrin, it is the most boring lane ever because you're not going to really get, if it's played perfectly, Samford isn't really going to get too far with this. He really has to force a mistake out of ATM in this early laning phase.
Donut and D7, the both of them are dealing with quite an adversary at the top lane with Yawi and Kaltizi. Echo, after all, is a very early game setup, and they have a lot of ways that they can really deal with this Brody. They are strong in the early game, and I would assume that they would want the snowball.
So far, oh, Kaltizi going a little bit aggressive here.
Doesn't seem like it's going to amount to much though. A little bit of poke here and there, but at least now we know that Donut, his EXP, is not looking as well as what Benny Cutie has.
Yeah, I mean, overall, at the end of the day, I think for Benny Cutie, he's just focusing on clearing these waves. And even though Echo recognized that maybe we won't be able to have as much kill pressure and force priority whenever we want to, at the very least, what we do actually have that works for us is ultimates that not necessarily benefits the entire world, but enough to focus on a one person, right? You need to be able to get D7 all down.
And Benny Cutie realizes that, you know, he doesn't have a lot of health to work with. He might as well just blazing duet the entire creep wave and eventually head back home. But in the meantime, the main thing is Echo, doing all of that, manages to take the turtle down.
Yeah, still staying very objective right now, able to get the turtle once again, like we saw in the previous game. And it's interesting, right? Because we haven't seen a Matilda in a very long time. When we see Matilda, we instantly think about V. Is this hero suited towards somebody like Yawi?
I think if we talk about Matilda, there's one thing that you have to be very, very good at, and that's communication, right? Because you can't expect your teammates to always be consistently looking out for your position or seeing the markers on their UI, right? At the end of the day, it's all about how does Yawi communicate with the rest of the team so they can pull themselves in and out of these tough spots, or better yet, set up for those very big dives. Because at least when you have those guiding winds, you're kind of able to dive on towards your opponents in these sticky situations to cancel out good abilities and put people who have a lot of kill pressure against someone who's squishy, D7, or maybe in this case, even Donut if he walks up too far.
I agree with that, right? I agree with that statement, especially Matilda has the circle.
Oh! First blood goes to the hands of Carl Teasy, and that's not good at all. I mean, we're talking about Diggy.
Yeah, it's he's gonna have to start restacking all over again. He's going for the impure rage. You know that he wants to build damage. You know that he wants to just farm auto alarm bombs.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about this Diggy, right? Because that's exactly the person I wanted to, you know, bridge it onto. Matilda Airlines has a circling eagle, should be able to, like you mentioned, go for those priority picks on the side of Burn X Flash. But how does that fare with the fact that D7 does have that anti-CC to cancel all that out?
I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but imagine if Samford actually gets ahead in this lane, right? Maybe he has 3 items, I would assume. Maybe even 2 items isn't too bad. Matilda Airlines pulls him in, and we play out the situation. Samford has closed the distance against someone like a Diggy who doesn't have the base. Oh, wait, this is actually getting really close.
Oh, ATM is not exactly in a very nice position as we have 4 people surrounding him. Sanji immediately pops off with the time journey, and that allowed the rest of the members from the Echo just continue advancing forward. They took the turtle, they didn't get any kills just yet, and I don't think that they will want to force the advantage onto ATM.
Huh, interesting. I would have imagined that Burnex Flash would have completely let go of that. The fact that they actually postured for it, rather interesting, because they're digging as well. As for Donut, we're still on the top side of the map, so generally these neutrals probably wouldn't have happened.
And now in the middle lane, Sanji and both Yaoi's HP doesn't look too good. That was a 3 versus 4, technically speaking.
Just shows you just the level of power that Donut has in his hands right now, right? He's already got his 1-item power spike in that BOD. I'm not seeing any pairs of pants being built on anybody from the side of Echo just yet.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage in the early game for Donut, and that's what you expect from a Brody, right? You want him to be able to farm up as fast as he can in this early game, look for more objectives in terms of towers perhaps, but despite that, right, despite what we want, it doesn't seem... Oh, wait a minute, Yaoi!
Yaoi's gonna be going down by the hands of Donut because of the torn apart memory. But unfortunately, he's gonna be traded out. Seacat joins into the fray, brings Sanji down, and that is a... What kind of trade is that? Is that good? Is that bad?
Honestly, it's pretty terrible trade for the side of Echo's side, right? Because again, ATM is going to continue just holding this lane hostage against Sanford, who is honestly making no leeway. He's got the combo points now. He doesn't have his ultimate, thankfully, but Sanford is getting dangerously low.
I don't think that either one is going to go down unless ATM actually overextends, but that forces Sanford to work onto the flicker. ATM even still has the flicker, so if he wants to go back in, technically he can. Oh, the execution and did not clip onto ATM. What a waste.
This is interesting. Echo doesn't feel like
Echo.
they're playing like Echo.
Right.
It's a little bit uncharacteristic of these players so far with the way things have panned out in the first 6 minutes of the game. Burnex Flash now going against the next objective.
As now the Deadly Cash forces its way through Echo. Kaltizi has only got one thing in sight, and that is the turtle.
Do you like how my curse works?
What?
Right? I was like, Echo's not playing like Echo, and then Carl Peasy gets the turtle.
I don't know how many of those you still have in you because you're going to have to do it a lot if Burnex Flash is going to be playing like the way they are. They're trading well against a team like Echo, and that's what I like to see when you're playing it against them, right? You can't let Echo get away with everything. You need to make them fight for every bit of space that they take.
I feel like Eterna is really just trying to get herself back in the hearts of the Filipinos, right? You know, we're still
What did I do?
I mean, you know, just leave it be. Just Burnex Flash, we chose Burnex Flash, we kept to the Burnex Flash.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
But speaking of Burnex Flash, that was actually pretty darn good onto Kaltizi. They almost caught him out. But unfortunately, it is a last lot after all. It does have the Phantom Execution. Getting away is just that easy.
You know, I want to talk about this, right? I want to talk about Carl Teasy, his Phantom Executions and all that, right? Because when it comes to the neutral objective takes, Jamal has done quite a good job so far, right? Because he's able to use that ultimate, that deadly catch to be able to just stave off the members of Echo. But it seems like that's not a big deterrent for them.
No, I mean, Carl Teasy, he's got iframes to work with. And let's also not forget that deadly catch is rather slow in terms of a quote-unquote projectile speed. ATM, though,
is holding the ground. He's holding his ground pretty darn well. D7, oh boy, you are not gonna go back home. ATM is going to be holding up to the front against 4 other person, and he's not going down just yet. He can immediately drop the RWN, clears out the entire creep wave, and they only lost the D7. I think that's not so bad, unless Echo goes in like that, unless they immediately jump on and collapses onto Shama.
Yeah, 3 members taken down on the side of Burnex Flash. Echo now just really picking up the pace. Meanwhile, Benikudi having just the time of his life in the top side. Farming, and farming, getting more objectives on the board here for Echo. And it feels like that's just the constant storyline for Echo. Benikudi just really focused on that.
Yeah, personally, I just like the fact I would love to be in Sanford's shoes because he's just kind of existing right now. He's not, he doesn't need to do anything too crazy. He just needs to clean up the fight after all the abilities are out because prior to that, he's just looking for flanks. But until he is unlocked from his lane, which they finally do after cracking both tier 1s, now he can start looking for these angles. Now he can really start hunting for D7 and Donut.
As Seacat pops off the RWM, the deadly catch appears and clips onto Sanji. The first person taken down, but Sanford joined in from behind. He wanted to bring Shima down, but I don't think that it's going to be that easy. But Circling Eagle connects, but Kaltizi is going to be the one to bring down the Lord. As such, that is going to be Echo, with the first Lord of the game marching right in. Unfortunately, Echo lost too.
Yeah, Vernex Flash, they're angry right now. They're looking for any trades that they can do on the map. The fact that they lost the Lord isn't too surprising, realizing that Chima is a level below of Carl TZ right now. But if they keep trading like this, if Echo keeps getting the objectives, but they lose the team fights, this is looking a little deja vu for me.
I agree. It is starting to look a little deja vu. The question is, how do they close out the game, especially with the high ground heroes that we see from the side of Burnex Flash? Like, Eve is going to be absolutely great at clearing out these waves, and the same can also be said for the fact that they have, I mean, Donut may not be the best, but at least when it comes down to single targets like Lord, he can actually hurt. Everybody else is kind of just there to exist.
Everyone congregates in the middle lane. They want to bring down this first tier defense turret. ATM is doing his absolute best to defend it all. Kaltizi, he's poking in. Sanji, he's not poking. He goes in with a deadly intent.
Man, Echo just doing the Echo special. No, the Filipino special, right? The fact that they're able to play around these buffs really, really well, just depriving Chima of anything he can grasp his hands on. Still a 4,000 gold lead. Doesn't seem like they have much to say about this because, you know, they committed onto Donut. Donut on the Brody.
Yep, and they're going to continue doing so, right? I mean, look at this. ATM, he's going to walk up, he's going to basically get chunked.
He's not going to survive all of that. Echo, they are fast, and they are a team with a lot of damage. Let's be honest here. Even though ATM did manage to survive in the bottom lane and just holding the lane for damn long, Echo does have a 5,000 gold lead, and this is the point in time where they are getting their power spikes.
Yeah, because of that gold lead, we see that Carl TZ actually opts for endless battle. What does that mean?
Yep, it means that he knows that he has a lead. He knows that he can threaten the backline, especially for Donut. He's got iframes to work with to make sure that the corrosive strike, when he tries to go for that stun, good luck. As long as I have my Thorn Rose, I can make something happen. He's got a lot of kill threat, and that's the important thing, right? Because if we're looking in terms of quote-unquote damage, Bane, he's going for pretty much, he has the War Axe. That's probably the only damage item he's going to go for, but he's generally trying to go for Brute Force Breastplate, and as well as the Athena Shield to rather survive the onslaught coming at him. That's why when you first saw the initial interaction when Sanford was looking to flank, double punches Shima, he barely felt it, and he was like, you know what, I don't want to mess with this.
The entire team of Echo, they want to steal away the purple buff. Did they manage it to? No. Unfortunately, they couldn't. Shima took the turtle away. Took the purple buff away. Grand Theft Purple, not quite working out, but at least they have the priority over the Lord, which will be coming out in 12 seconds in.
But you know, now that I think about it, right? Sure, right? Donut doesn't scale as well, right? But they do still have D7 and CCAT to kind of fall onto, right? Because in the later stages of the game, they are going to try to use Diggy to not just open up information, but try and utilize those bombs and those stacks to be able to just, you know, chunk Echo a little bit slower. But what is this?
Yep, holding them hostage.
Cat's not in the fight, he's slowly walking in, but holding him hostage, yeah, because the wave is just eventually gonna crash in. And Echo, you're waiting for the perfect prime time.
Oh!
How did he do that? Echo now is at the beckoning of Burnex Flash, and now Yaoi has to run away after being caught within the RWM. Donut takes the kill, Lord fights for them. Moving on in the northern side.
That trigger discipline that we have been waiting for. Burnex Flash now being able to punch Echo a little bit here in the 13th minute of the game. They get the Lord, they take Yaoi down. This is a step in the right direction.
This is the equalizer, in a matter of fact. They will be able to get a lot of structural gold out from Echo's side, and that's going to even out the last 3.8 deficit that they were missing earlier. Echo, they literally just hit the 42k mark, so they literally just got their item power spike, and unfortunately they didn't force it onto Burnex Flash pre-Lord, and I think that's something they probably should have considered. But at the end of the day, this is not a make it or break it for Echo, because as we go to the later stages, Sanji, he is strong. Carl TZ is already naturally strong, but CCAT, he's catching up quick. And let's not forget that Donut is going for Weapon Master, so in terms of scaling, he can actually get to a point where he is compatible against someone like Benny QT on a Claude.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to work with, right? Because usually when we see Brody on the killing spree.
Yep.
So Kaltizi.
Easy. Doesn't seem like he's gonna be too faulted about the fact that Burnex Flash wants his skin. But he does have a lot of charges, and he did manage to melt down D7. That's all of the stacks that this Diggy have lost. And that is really unfortunate.
Yeah, Kaltizi is going damage, right? We see Endless Battle, we see Hunter Strike as well. Is this a safe thing to go for? I mean, they did just get a pick off.
I mean, it's going to get more and more volatile as the game goes on, right? Let's look at the item builds one more time, because in terms of just raw power and raw damage, we're noticing that both Samford and as well as Kaltizi have the same goal in mind. Try to have a lot of kill threat to kill either D7 or force out his ult. And if they can get any resources with the kill threat because of the item builds that they have, that's great for them. It makes people's jobs easier, especially for Betty QD, who wants to go in, but can't as long as those 2 ultimates are in play. If not 3 ultimates in play, including the real world manipulation.
4.4 gold lead right now here for the side of Echo. There's not a lot of action going around because, of course, there isn't too much of an objective take to go for, but it really depends on these side lanes, right? How are they going to manipulate it? How are they going to set up for this next Lord? I think that's going to be very important coming into the next few seconds of the game.
I would really have hoped that Burnex Flash was able to make a little bit more use, or rather get more value out of the Lord. Naturally, first Lord equals to, you would want to have all the outer turrets destroyed. But unfortunately, that Lord only amounted to 2.
I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's 2 or 1, you're still coming up close towards the ultra late stages, or at the very least the later stages of the game, which is more than enough, right? Because, look, the side lane is already gone. You still want to contest for this upcoming neutral objectives. The Lord spawns again, and this can basically guarantee you an inhibitor turret. It's difficult for Donut to walk up.
ATM rushes himself right in the face of Echo. Sanji's HP not looking well, but he survived, or rather barely breathing, to be honest. ATM is still holding down to the front. He is still very beefy. Shamar is waiting on the side and waiting for the perfect opportunity to run right in. Yawi, the airline's coming in. He crashes onto ATM. This puts Yawi in not a very good spot. As such, Donut takes the kill onto Yawi. We focus onto Shamar now. He's holding on to 2. ATM flickers in. Gets a taunt onto 2. Kaltizi going down. Immortality broken. And now another taunt to put on top of him. Donut getting himself the killing spree. And now finally Sanji joins in the fray after healing, only to find himself sacrificing himself or throwing himself, feeding over to the fire. The Orcas are getting scalded. And Betty Cutie pulls right back by the reverse time. And Sanford finds himself absolutely demolished.
The Orcas get wiped out here in the 17th minute of the game. This is not looking good at all. Tama is going to be able to get this Lord uncontested. And finally, Burnex Flash, they are striking back.
Can't disrespect a Brody with Weapon Master. He scales so much harder than you believe. When he gets his 4th item, that's a lot more numbers compared to if he had Killing Spree, in addition to the emblems that he has. And now they're looking to try and end this.
This is amazing as C-Cat drops the RWM. He keeps Kaltizi inside. Sanjin's completely going to be pushed away from the rest of the BXF. Focus on the throne. We get the first win from Burn at Flash.
A 1-1 right now here between both of these teams. Neither want to go down without a fight. It really went down to the last second for Burnex Flash, where they were able to...